Okay, ladies, we live on Facebook, and I want to welcome you to another self-love conversation. You know, we just coming off of the Becoming Truly You experience here in Atlanta, where we had an amazing time with some wonderful group of women. And some time ago, I saw this woman's journal that she was promoting on Facebook and social media. And I said to myself, I have to talk to this lady because the name is Reclaim Your Resilience. Now, her name is Melody Gross. And what you guys don't know is we went to high school together.
Yeah.
And all of the things that she is doing right now, ladies, I just want you to hear her story. She's no stranger. When we first started the I'm Loving Me project, she was one of the ladies who came on and spoke about domestic violence. So, Melody, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you remember that, but yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
of
Thank
course.
you
I
for having me,
remember
guys.
that was when we first got started and we said that we was going to branch out there and actually, tell women stories because we felt like it was so important. And you were the ones that really came out and spoke about domestic violence and your story of really how it happened. And I just seen you blossom over time where now we got a journal, we are a coach, we are doing so much stuff. So, what have you been up to since the last time we talked?
Oh my gosh. Whew. Yeah. So, like as you mentioned, I am a coach. I'm an emotional wellness and mindset coach. And so, what that means is I work with Black women to basically develop emotional wellness strategies to kind of help cope with the challenges that come up being a Black woman, being a mother, being in the workplace, having different relationships. And sometimes it's trauma, such as domestic violence, and other times it's just like, just, just childhood stuff that comes up in present day
Mhm.
that is like stopping them from being the success that they want to be. And so
Mhm.
I work with like the emotional wellness part, but also the mindset. So, a lot of it is believing that you can actually do the things that you want to do. And
Mhm.
so one of the reasons why I got into that was because I had to shift my mindset after leaving such a horrible experience to say, like, I am not those things that this person said that I
Come
was,
on,
right?
girl, say it. Yep.
Listen, I am not those things. And I have to tell myself that. But it's more than just words, it's actions, right? It's
Mhm.
support, it's community, it's rediscovering who you are. And
Mhm.
so that led me to, becoming a professional coach. I also still do stuff with work with domestic violence. For instance, I still do speaking engagements. I do workplace training. So, for instance, I go into companies and I say, listen, this is what domestic violence is. This is how it's showing up in your workplace. This is what you can do. And this is how much it's costing you, because
Right.
it does cost companies a lot of money when they don't address domestic violence.
And so the biggest thing that I want to talk about, where you said you mainly deal with Black women, right?
Yeah.
Our mental health, we are we are trained
Yeah.
as young girls
Yeah.
to be strong,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure we do it all,
Yeah.
to make sure we hold it all together,
Mm-hmm.
to take care of everyone. You make sure you take care of your family. You make sure you're there for your family. That includes your brothers, your sisters, your aunt, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you get to moments where you just want time by yourself, where you feel like, the weight of the world is on your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
you are told to suck it up. This
Yes.
is how it is.
Listen. So it's funny that you say that. Someone had posted about Simone Biles dropping out of the
Exactly.
Olympics, right?
Hmm.
And someone commented, it was a Black man who commented and was basically just saying, like, no, like, why would you do that? You keep pushing. It's like,
Yeah.
what? She's literally saying, her and Naomi, right? And
Mhm.
like all of these women, Black women are saying, like, I am tired, I am exhausted. So I want a break. And you're
Mhm.
gonna say, like, no, they don't get a
You're
break
not
because
allowed to break.
what?
You're not
No.
allowed to go ahead and rest because you know
Yeah.
why? You got to push through.
Right.
You got to make it happen. You got to make sure you take one for the team. And that's why I posted on mine. Like, I'm glad that you
Yes.
decided to go ahead and take a break and choose you because that is something that we don't do. And
No.
then you have to deal with the shame behind that.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, why are you being ridiculed for taking a step back and taking care of your mental health? Why
Right.
is people getting upset because we could have won a gold if it was with you? It's like, well,
So
that may be, right? But that may be, but I'm not the only one. I'm
right.
literally carrying the weight
Yeah.
of everybody on this team on my shoulders, and you are telling me to just fight through it because
Right.
sports is about mental toughness already. You are supposed to walk through this. You had a hard childhood already. This is what I
Right.
heard on the news. She had a hard childhood already and come through many obstacles. So
Mhm.
this should not be something that is new for her.
Never mind that all of that's a buildup, right? So every
Correct.
single thing, and this is what I'm saying, like, this is why I do the work that I do, because all of that factors in all of her experiences as a child, as a young adult, the racism that she's had to deal with at a very, very young age,
Mhm.
right? The gender, all of that is factoring into it. She's saying enough. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's
Because
right.
ultimately she can come back and bounce back and be even greater. Like, she's
Exactly.
already at the level that no one else can touch. And we're
Exactly.
still like, no, keep going. Like,
That's
what?
right.
And it's
Like,
usually people who have not accomplished a damn thing in their lives.
exactly. It's not until you actually get literally sick and your ass is like out there where
Right.
they're just like, oh, you gave so much to the world, you deserve a medal. Well, that gold medal, I'm worried more about how I'm gonna be 10 years from now, because that
Yes.
gold medal ain't gonna do nothing but stare me in the face. And
Yep.
it's gonna literally kill me if I don't get myself together.
Listen, what people don't realize is there was a skater, God, her name escapes me. She was like a 15th cousin. But anyways,
Mhm.
she was a skater. She would constantly rank in third place. And she left because of the stress of it. And she was dealing with mental health issues. Like,
Mhm.
she had to just leave. I think she wanted to become a doctor and she had some other stuff. But like, that is literally killing Black women. We have a higher rate of heart disease, right? We have a higher rate of so many other things. And you're saying like, it's not enough? Like, no. So this is exactly why I'm like, put your emotional wellness first. Put your mindset first. Yes, we can be resilient, but being resilient also means taking a break too.
Correct.
Being resilient does not mean you keep going regardless of how you feel.
Exactly. And also being resilient doesn't mean you have to continue to sacrifice yourself,
Right.
just so other people can feel good, just
Right.
because you can satisfy those people. Because even if she wasn't Simone Biles and you are just a woman who is, taking care of their family and their kids and everything, your husband got expectations of you to make sure you go pick up the kids, do this, come home, cook, do all that stuff. And you say, I can't do it all. It's like, but you a woman, you're supposed to.
Right. No.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can
Yeah.
cook too. No, I can't, because I got to go out and make the money. I got to take care of the household. Do you want to go out and make the money? Well, I do that too.
Right. Right. So then
Right.
what? Yeah.
So then there's no space. And that's why I was really attracted to your journal, because it gives you a space. It gives you that opportunity to go ahead and say, hey, these are my thoughts. This is how I'm actually feeling, because it gives you a bird's eye view into how you're really feeling versus you're just keeping it all inside and you don't have no no one to express yourself with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was one of the things. So I created the journal because I started journaling a lot after I left the abusive relationship. And so journaling really helped me kind of navigate that. And to be honest, part of it was because I couldn't afford therapy. Like, I just could not afford therapy. And so I was like, okay, I got to figure something out, right? I have to figure something out. So a friend recommended journaling, and it's helped me a lot. It's helped me overcome so much. And that it gave me that space, like you said, to process, to ask myself questions, to give myself pause, right? To not criticize myself because of things that I've, we are so harsh. We are oftentimes our harshest critic. I know that's something that I constantly battle. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the journal is about giving myself the space to just be without the judgment, and being able to talk to myself in a way that I would kind of talk to other people too. Right? So I think sometimes we talk very differently to ourselves than we do other people. And so for the journal, it's like you can look back and say, I spoke to myself this way. Maybe I can reframe that in a different way,
We had a coach that said, you become your own best friend.
Yeah.
Like the advice that you would give your best friend is the advice that you start to tell yourself, and you learn how to be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Right? Because we don't even think about that. And I would tell the ladies all the time, when you're journaling and when you're writing, you're actually writing how you feel. Mm-hmm. This is not something that you have to mask or make up or whatever because you're standing in front of someone.
Yeah.
You're expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, and the good thing is you get to see how you evolve.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You get to see how you evolve. And I like what you said earlier, for those people who can't afford a therapist or anything like that, this is basically the start.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because you're sitting with the main important person, which is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how hard was it for you when you started? Like when you actually started to sit and to journal and you looking at everything that you went through, how hard was it to start putting your stuff on paper, or was it just something that you could just do because you were in that space already?
So it depends on the topic, right? Like some topics were a lot easier to kind of confront and others were a lot harder, so it was relatively easy to journal about a breakup. Because that's okay, it happened, I feel this way, but I know ultimately that's not my end story. That's not my love story or whatever, right? Writing about my relationship with my mother and the struggles between that, it was a lot harder. That was a lot harder. That took time, that took patience, that took me to give myself grace. Like that was harder because, I had to face some like truths, right? And what kind of came out of that was I can accept that the things that she did hurt me, and I can accept that my feelings are valid. So both of those can exist. And that's one of the things I feel like overall is the theme that's come out of journaling is two things can exist in the same space, right? You can have heartbreak and still know that eventually you'll find the love of your life or whatever, right? Or you can have this like really, bad childhood or just stressful childhood and know that you don't want that to be the story for your children. Like this, both things can exist, right? Your parents experience trauma of their own, and your trauma is valid too. Right.
And one of the things that I also like about journaling is you get to you really get to see yourself. Like
Yeah.
you really get to see the part that you played in this. Because
Oh,
at first it starts out as a rant,
right.
right?
Right.
This person did this to me, and this is how I feel about this. And then
Mhm.
you let 2 or 3 days pass, right? And
You're
all of
like,
a sudden the language is different. Like,
yeah.
wow, I could have
Yeah.
handled that a little bit better.
That's
And
right.
I did see my trauma come up in this portion of
That's right.
the conversation. And then
Right.
I know it's like when somebody tries to tell you who you are
Hmm.
and they say, well, Melody, you're very critical about everything and you this, and it's like you don't hear it.
Right.
But when you are writing your own words and you go back and forth, you get to see
Yeah.
when you're mean, how mean you are. When you're
Yes.
in love, how in love you are.
Yeah.
Like you get to see and get a clear picture of all of your emotions
Yeah.
so that you can better understand who you are, right?
Because it's easy sometimes to be the victim, right? It's
Correct.
easy
And
sometimes
that's
to be the
mainly
victim.
how it starts out in
It starts out
journaling.
that way. You're like, they did this to me.
That's right.
And then it's like, well, I probably should not have said this.
Right.
Led to that, right? Like I could have probably handled that a very different way, you
Mhm.
know. And some of it, like even in the journal, some of it is just like what happened today, right? Like
Yeah.
what happened in your life today. What
Mhm.
is, it could be something simple. It doesn't have to be. I think sometimes we think journaling is about just like writing the bad stuff and the bad feelings.
Right.
Sometimes it's the good stuff.
That's right.
Sometimes it's the basic stuff. It's like, you know what? I went to the supermarket and I really wanted, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? But it still shows your story of who you are, right? And
Mhm.
like, like, okay, well, I know I don't want to go to that supermarket because they never have this, right? Like,
Right, right,
like
right, right.
finding little
And but
things.
but like I said, you are looking at the different sides of yourself. And so when people sit with you and they say, what do you like?
Right.
You look through your journal and you say, you know what, I really like to cook because I've been cooking for the longest in here. Every time
Right.
I'm making me, something good, or I saw a recipe, or I like this, I don't like that. You know what I'm
You see
saying?
those themes in your life, those themes
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And for me, like, I feel like when you start to see those themes, you can then point out things that you want to shift a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you want to, dissect a little bit more. You may need a little bit more support with that. Like, how can I not be this person, right? How
Mm-hmm.
can I not be this person that when someone calls me this or says this to me, that it sends me in a spiral, or I react a certain way, or I lash out? Like, what do I need to overcome that? So that's really what it's about. And then, our stories and our journeys is what makes us resilient, right?
Right.
What builds our resilience. And so for me, it's just like I taking that time out to do that. And that's really why, one of the reasons why I created the journal. Because I want everybody to just be like the best version of themselves. Like, I really do. You don't understand.
Why do
Like,
you think that is so hard for women, especially Black women, to embrace this kind of thing?
yeah,
One of the things that I used to tell myself is, because we always busy focusing on surviving,
surviving. Yeah.
and because we focus on surviving and trying to make it, we don't give ourselves time to really sit and reflect, because our reflections is something that we don't want to do. We're
Yeah.
using this time to go ahead and distract ourselves so we can make it through the day.
Yeah.
What do you think is some of the reasons why it's, sometimes hard to embrace this thing of journaling and taking care of your mental health?
Yeah. So like you said, a lot of it is just like time, right? That's one big factor, is like we don't necessarily have the time, or we
Mm,
don't really want to make the time,
mm,
right? But then also it's hard to face the ugly parts of you. It is
mm,
hard to face the ugly parts of you,
mm,
especially if sometimes those ugly parts can be contributed to things that you refuse to address.
right.
That
Mm,
can be really hard. And then also just basic stuff like sometimes we just don't know how to do it, you know? And so sometimes we don't know that journaling can come in many different forms. You know, it can be just like writing one sentence a day, and that is it. Right. It could be drawing, like drawing out the thoughts that are you having in your head, right? Mm-hmm. It can be more creative. I think sometimes we have this narrow perspective of what journaling is. You don't always have to write a 4-page letter for a journal.
Right. Right.
You know, prime example, so about a few months back, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And so I felt it building up, right? And I was like, oh, I need to journal. And I just kept avoiding it. But I didn't know what, at the time, I didn't know what it was I needed to journal. I just knew I felt like I had to. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, no, I kept avoiding it because I whatever it was, I just didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
And then I also felt like I didn't feel like writing a bunch of stuff. And then I had to remind myself, like, I don't have to write a bunch of stuff. And so all I wrote was, my father has cancer. And that was it. And I just left it at that. And I felt better, you know? I felt a little bit lighter, right?
Because you were able to get it out. Yeah. Other than having it play over and over and over in your head. It's like you said it out loud and you put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I try to tell the ladies. You don't have to force yourself to do something every day. Sometimes you can just go ahead and say, when you in that frustrating place, you go, you grab it, and you just go ahead and you just get to work, right? Yeah. And I always use the example of, you know how your grandma used to wake up early in the morning before everybody got up?
Yeah.
And she would go to her special place and she would have her daily word, the Bible, whatever it is, and she would have her peaceful time to herself.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you up. She done finished. She done got herself together. She's either cooking or getting the list together for you to go to the store, do whatever it is.
Yeah.
But she knew, and I've seen this plenty of times with my grandmother and plenty of others, they knew how to take their time. And for them, it was the Bible.
Yeah.
Get their daily word, underline some things, get themselves together, and then they move on throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And
to be honest with you, so sometimes I'm a morning journaler, sometimes it depends. Other times I'm gonna go ahead and take this bath and then I'll journal.
Right.
Or it's like, I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm gonna write something.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's the most random time. So it doesn't matter when or where, just, you know, when you feel I like to say when you feel the urge, right? Because sometimes we'll feel the urge. Or if we feel like something's stuck in our chest, stuck in our heart, stuck in our mouths, our throats, like something we want to say, but we can't quite say it.
Or that little butterfly feeling in your stomach that just won't go away, and you're trying to figure out what that is. Yeah, that's that energy that is built up, that is trying to get out, but it doesn't know what to say. But that's when you go and you grab your journal and you go ahead and you put whatever you think it is down, and eventually you'll start to see it come out.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, reclaim your resilience. A guided journal for survivors is what you have. What else do you have?
No, but yeah, so I also have the Eva Lee Parker Fund.
Yeah.
And so that fund provides emergency funds for Black women who are trying to escape domestic violence situations. So it's usually urgency, like, you know, bus tickets, transportation, broken items, because your rental property does not care what you're experiencing. They just want it fixed. And so here, you know, that's happened to me. So I love that fund. I'm doing a lot of work with other organizations, again, coming in, talking about domestic violence, having some like programs and workshops for survivors, but then also hosting my own workshops specifically around journaling. So I'm really excited about that. That'll definitely be out really soon, because people are like, okay, I have the journal and now what? And I'm like, okay, give me a minute. Let me put this together, right? Like, I didn't expect that, but here we are. Like, I didn't expect, honestly, I didn't expect for it to grow the way it's growing. I was like,
oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Let me just do one, if I get one sale, I'm happy. Like,
no, but let me tell you why. Because we are in a period where we are coming out of, so much death and so much disease and agony, where people just don't know really how it affected their mental health, even before they got in, right? And so now you're starting to recognize that there's something that's off, but you're not sure what it is, and you're trying to figure it out, and you don't know how. And this is just a step to another step.
That's right.
Right? Absolutely. Because when you think about it, that woman who is being abused right now, who can't express herself, who got to tiptoe around this person, who don't know how to get out, who has their child, journaling is all she got. Because that might save her life. You see what I'm saying?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So yes, I agree. And so I am working with my clients who they're all not necessarily survivors. They're just can be everyday people, right? A lot of times I have clients who just want to set up boundaries. Like, they're like, I'm being pulled in so many directions and I need boundaries. I'm like, all right, let's work on that. What does that look like for you? Right. Or people who are like, I want to leave my job, but I'm scared. And what does that look like?
That's a big thing.
And that is a big thing, because I have been there. Like, I have absolutely been there. I left my job without a real plan, but I knew I needed to get out.
Yeah.
I knew I needed to get out. Because it was really messing with my mental health. And I was just like, you know what? I am going to prioritize me. And so I'm out. Deuces. So coaching is really about just like help guiding them into being the expert on themselves, right? Being able to trust that they are making the best decisions for themselves, whatever that next chapter of their life is, right? So for me, there's a lot of business coaches, and that's great. And I have one. There's a lot of, career coaches, and that's great too. For me, my coaching is about being the best version of yourself. So you can show up authentically wherever you are trying to be. Whether that's showing up authentically as a mother, as a partner, right, as an executive, right, as just as an entrepreneur, whatever that is for you. But it's really just like authentically, because if your emotional wellness and your mindset isn't right, it does not matter how many figures you're making, right? It's not going to matter, because you're not going to necessarily even like yourself.
Come on now.
Or you don't have great relationships with your family or friends, or your children. Like, no, we don't want that. So for me, it's just like, let's make the plan to be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
So tell us how to get the journal so we can start making a plan, and how we can follow you and really start to take action.
Yeah. So the journal is available on Amazon. So you can look me up by name, Melody Gross, or Reclaim Your Resilience. It is available on Amazon. You can also go to my website, iammelody.co. That's IAMMELODY.co, and go to products, and it's there as well. Also, I am on social media all the time, but I'm on social media, all platforms. I am Melody Co.
Oh man, Melody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Okay.
Yes, thank you, fellow lion.
I know it. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.